Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rechakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of the great millstone who taught us his truth. Shalom also to the Akim pushing this word in sincerity and in truth, and to the speckled bird across the four corners of the world, and to the few sisters who are listening to you. I say Shalom. Lord willing, this would be an edifying lesson. I'm the brother Khadasha from the GM and Chicago camp, coming back at you with another lesson. And what I wanted to get into with this lesson was Christopher Columbus Day, because today is actually October 14 is actually today's Christopher Columbus Day. And what I wanted to get into with this lesson was read off of a book called A People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn. And this book tells you the history of the Americas, or the history of America from 1492 to the present day. And I wanted to get into some scriptures, and Lord willing, this be an edifying lesson. But I just wanted to really just cut down this American lie of Christopher Columbus, man, because this is something you start learning, as soon as, as early as being in kindergarten, man. All right. As soon as you go into kindergarten, you already learn about Christopher Columbus and, all this indoctrination they try to shove down your mouth, man. All right. But we're going to read about a little bit about Christopher Columbus, and we're going to get into the scriptures. And Lord willing, this is an edifying lesson, man. But it says right here, Columbus Day is a national holiday in many countries of the Americas and elsewhere, and a federal holiday in the United States, which officially celebrates the anniversary of Christopher Columbus's arrival in the Americas. He went ashore at Guanahani, an island in the Bahamas, on October 12, 1492. And they never really expound on what he did when he came to the Americas, man. They just kind of tell you that he came on 3 ships, all right, and that he loved the sea, and then they just give you some worksheets to color, and that's it, man. They never really go into depth of what this devil actually did when he came to the Americas, man. All right. So I also got this worksheet as well. I looked up a worksheet of what they be giving as homework to these little kids, because I looked up kindergarten Christopher Columbus Day homework or worksheet. All right. So when you look up the worksheet, it's funny because this is literally what they give to little kids as homework, man. All right. They already start indoctrinating them. It says Christopher Columbus was born in 1451 in the city of Genoa, Italy. Christopher loved the sea. He loved the salty air, and he loved the windy days. Christopher would go to the harbor and watch the ships come into port. So they tried to paint a picture like as if he was some innocent, sea-loving dude that just wanted to explore and shit. But that couldn't be further from the truth, man. All right, he was wicked. All right, and when he first touched down to the Americas, he did a lot of wicked shit, man. All right, and we're gonna read about that, and we're gonna link it to the scriptures, Lord willing, and it be an edifying lesson. It says he wanted spices, jewels, and other treasures from Asia. And that's another thing too. They try to tell you or lie to you that he was looking for Asia when he knew what he was looking for, man. All right. He knew about 2nd Ezra 13. He knew about Arsarith. He knew about the 10 tribes, the lost 10 tribes. All right. He knew where he was coming to, man. All right. That's why he brought Hebrew interpreters, all right, that spoke Hebrew when he came to the Americas, man. He knew what people he was going to come into contact with when he came to the Americas, man. All right. He was not looking for Asia and spices. All right. That's stupid. Like, come on, man. And it tells you that the king and queen of Spain gave Christopher money to pay for his trip. It says Columbus made a voyage with 3 ships. They were the Nina, Pinto, and Santa Maria. The journey was long and difficult. That's all they tell you. All right. There's literally the worksheet, and that's all they tell you. They don't expound. They don't tell you, oh, and he came down. He started slaughtering the Native Americans. They don't tell you none of that, man. All right, but in this book, it actually goes into it. All right, it says right here, the Indians Columbus reported are so naive and so free with their possessions that no one who has not witnessed them would believe it. When you ask for something they have, they never say no. To the contrary, they offer to share with anyone. It says he concluded in his report, which that should remind you of somebody, man, in the scriptures. That made me think about Hezekiah when he showed the whole he showed the whole treasures. He just showed everything, man. He showed the whole kingdom. All right, man, bro. And also too, our people have always been dumb, man. Our people, that's why the Lord said that, he described us as Sodom's children, man. Because here it is, this devil just touched down, all right? And it goes into how they ran to the ships. And they ran with goods to the ships, man. All right? It says right here, let me start off actually. It says they, talking about the Native Americans, all right, which were Israelites, all right? It was Arawak and Taino men, which today that would be Puerto Ricans, all right? It says, they brought us parrots and balls of cotton and spears and many other things which they exchanged for the glass beads and hawk's bells. They willingly traded everything they owned. They were well built, with good bodies and handsome features. They do not bear arms and do not know them, for I showed them a sword. They took it by the edge and cut themselves out of ignorance. They have no iron. Their spears are made of cane. They would make fine servants. With 50 men, we could subjugate them all and make them do whatever we want. And that's exactly what Christopher Columbus wrote when he was writing back to the people that financed his voyage. All right. So he was basically telling them and writing back to them, telling them that they would make fine servants and that with 50 men, we could subjugate them. So this is what this is the man that people are celebrating today, all across schools in America. All right, there's some kindergarten right now today who learned about Christopher Columbus and then just drew with a crayon on a little worksheet, man. All right, but they don't tell you what this devil was doing when he first came. All right. But it says, back into this, what he reported, it says they are so naive and so free with their possessions that no one that has witnessed them would not believe it. That reminds me of Hezekiah, man. When Hezekiah, he showed, I think it was, let me see, Hezekiah. Let me just get it real quick. Oh, so it's 2 Kings 20 and 12. Let me get that real quick. Salaki, if you hear noise in the background too. Says at that time, this is a 2 Kings 20 and 12. It says, and at that time, Berodak Baladan, the son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent letters and the present unto Hezekiah, for he had heard that Hezekiah had been sick. And Hezekiah hearkened unto them and showed them all the house of his precious things, the silver and the gold and the spices and the precious ointments, and all the house of his armor, and all that was found in his treasures. There was nothing in his house, nor in all his dominion, that Hezekiah showed them not. Which, this is exactly what the Native Americans did. Jake has always been a very hospitable people, sometimes too hospitable, man, especially to heathen, because this is the son of Baladan, king of Babylon. This was a whole heathen, all right, and he showed him everything. It says that there was nothing in his house nor in all his dominion that Hezekiah showed them not. So Hezekiah he showed him the whole nine. He showed him everything. It says, Then came Isaiah the prophet unto King Hezekiah and said unto him, What said these men, and from whence came they unto thee? And Hezekiah said, They are come from a far country, even from Babylon. And he said, What have they seen in thine house? And Hezekiah answered, All the things that are in mine house have they seen. There is nothing among my treasures that I have not showed them. And Isaiah said unto Hezekiah, Hear the word of the Lord. Behold, the days come, that all that is in thine house, and that which thy fathers have laid up in store unto this day, shall be carried into Babylon. Nothing shall be left, saith the Lord. So the Lord told Hezekiah that all of this, was basically going to be carried away into Babylon, man. All right. Everything that he showed unto the Baladan, the son of, or Berodak Baladan, the son of Baladan, king of Babylon, he showed him his whole house. All right, which our people, which Hezekiah was actually a good king, man. All right, Hezekiah was actually one of those kings that, all right, that weren't defective in Judah, man. It was, I believe, King David, King Hezekiah, and King Josiah. All right, and then the rest of the kings of Judah were defective, man. All right, they all went off. But those three kings, they were on point. But in this case, Hezekiah, Hezekiah did something foolish, man. He showed his whole house. There was nothing he didn't show. All right, and I was just comparing that to this, when when Christopher Columbus came to the Americas, the Native Americans, the so-called Indians, all right, they showed their whole cards. They put the whole stack to Christopher Columbus, man. They showed them everything that they had, man. All right, gave them little things here and there, man. Showed them how to plant, showed them how to cultivate the land. All right, and what was Christopher Columbus doing while these men were helping them? He was writing back letters talking about how he's gonna subjugate them with only 50 men. Like, come on, man. It says, but let me keep reading. It says, he concluded his report by asking for a little help from their majesties, and in return he would bring them from his next voyage as much gold as they needed and as many slaves as they asked. He was full of religious talk. Thus the eternal God, our Lord, gives victory to those who follow his way over apparent impossibilities. Because of Columbus's exaggerated report and promises, his second expedition was given 17 ships and more than 1,200 men. The aim was clear: slaves and gold. That's what they came for, man. They came for slaves and gold. All right, and then when you read this kindergarten homework, it tells you that he came with 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, and that he was looking for spices and treasures, and that's it. They don't tell you that his goal was slaves and gold, man. But it says, but as word spread of the Europeans' intent, they found more and more empty villages. On Haiti, they found that the sailors left behind at Fort Navidad had been killed in a battle with the Indians after they had roamed the island in gangs looking for gold, taking women and children as slaves for sex and labor. And this devil, all right, when he started coming to the Americas, man, he started killing us by the thousands and thousands, man. All right, and because also too, he made it very exaggerated reports, all right, to his majesties, the king and queen of Spain, that that basically he was gonna bring all this gold and all these slaves, all right, And because he made those promises, he had to pay back on what he said, man. So he was desperate, man. He started killing us by the hundreds of thousands, man. Because we look, he made us. This book goes into how he would make us literally carve out mountains, and we couldn't find gold, man. The labor days would be so long that Jake would be dying as they worked, man. All right, everything that this devil did when he first came here, man, it was demonic, man. All right, and the Lord told us this would happen. The Lord told us, all right. Matter of fact, let's get that. And Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, I got it right here actually. It says Deuteronomy 28, because one of the curses that would fall upon our people would be that, you know, we would lose our heritage and then be subjugated unto these other people, man. But it says right here, it says Deuteronomy 28 and 64 says, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there shalt thou serve other gods which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And you know, when the Native Americans, the so-called Native Americans and the Latin tribes and all these different tribes, because really it was the 10 tribes of Israel that came to the Americas. When they first came, all right, their purpose of coming over here was really to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. But over time, all right, it got bugged out, man. Jake started becoming idolatrous, man. You see, you be hearing about the Aztec, Mayan, and Incan cultures, man. You be hearing about, all right, the what the Native Americans, what the deities they be praising and stuff like that. They be worshiping spirits, the spirit of the tree and the spirit of the moon and the spirit of. It's just bugged out, man. All right, but when Jake first came to the Americas, their purpose was to keep the law, statutes, and commandment, man. It says right here in Second Ezra 13 and 40, it says, yep, starting at verse 40, it says, and those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land into the time of Hosea, the king whom Salmanassar, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, there that they might there keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. So when they were in captivity in Assyria, they basically purposed together that they would go to a land where mankind never dwelt, and there they would keep the law, statutes, and commandments which they didn't keep in their own land. And that was right here in the Americas, man. All right, and Christopher Columbus knew this. He knew when he came to the Americas. That's why he had Hebrew interpreters with him, man. All right, people that spoke Hebrew. He knew when he was coming to the Americas, all right, that he was gonna find people. All right, he was gonna find the people of the Lord, man. All right, the lost 10 tribes. All right, he was not looking for no spices in Asia, man. That's a lie, another lie that America tells you, that he was looking for Asia and somehow magically stumbled upon America, and oh my God, America, I just discovered America. That's not what happened, bro. All right, this devil knew what he was looking for. But let me get this real quick as well. This is Deuteronomy 28 and 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. And we just read, all right, that these people were taking women and children as slaves for sex and labor. All right, they were not regarding nobody, man. The young, the old. All right. You also read about the Trail of Tears. All right. Man, bro, you start reading about the history of America, and the truth of how this country came to be, and it puts a huge stain on the so-called honor of America, man. All right, that's why these Edomites are so uncomfortable when we bring information like this out, especially when we tie it to the scriptures, because it puts a spotlight on who they actually are. You're not Europeans, you're not white people, you're not Caucasians, you're fucking Edomites, and the Lord is gonna destroy you. The Lord hates you people, man. All right, and there is gonna be a payback for what you did to our people, man. All right. And this devil didn't show, he had no regard for the person of the old, and he did not show favor to the young. And this was a curse that the Lord put on our people for disobeying the law, statutes, and commandments. All right. And it says, verse 51, and he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, in the increase of thy kin or kine, or flocks of thy sheep, until he has destroyed thee. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates until thy high and fenced walls come down, wherein thou trustest. Or that was really the point. Starting at verse 49 through verse 51. All right, because this devil, all right, when he first came to the Americas, all right, he was he was completely subjugating us, man, putting us into hardcore slavery. He didn't care whether you were young or old. To him it didn't matter, man. He was putting your ass to work. He needed to keep that promise of bringing back all that gold and slaves, man. All right. And we keep reading a little bit more of this in this book. It says, now from his base on Haiti, Columbus sent expedition after expedition into the interior. They found no gold fields, but had to fill up the ships returning to Spain with some kind of dividend. In the year 1495, they went on a great slave raid, rounded up 1,500 Arawak men, women, and children, put them in pens guarded by Spaniards and dogs. It says, then picked the 500 best specimens to load on ships. Hey, so to these motherfuckers, we were just specimens. We were just we were just basically we were just cattle to them. They were just gonna round us up and send us off, ship us off back to Spain, where we could be subjugated and be told to do whatever the fuck, to be basically servants, man. All right, and you don't read about that. All right, in this kindergarten homework that I was reading about earlier, they don't tell you about none of that. They don't tell you. It tells you that he loved the sea, and he loved the salty air and the windy days. They don't tell you about how he also loved to subjugate Native American children and stuff like that. They don't tell you how he loved gold and was so desperate for it that by any means necessary he was willing to kill all these people just to find it, man. They don't tell you none of that. All right, this is not a day to be celebrating, man. All right, this devil put complete hell on our people, man. And it says, so keep in mind, he rounded up 1,500 Arawak men, women, and children. It says, and put them in pens guarded by Spaniards and dogs, then picked the 500 best specimens to load onto ships. Of those 500, 200 died en route. The rest arrived alive in Spain and were put up for sale by the archdeacon of the town, who reported that although the slaves were naked as the day they were born, they showed no more embarrassment than animals. Columbus later wrote, let us in the name of the Holy Trinity go on sending all the slaves that can be sold. So these niggas were doing it. And matter of fact, that reminds me of a precept. Let's get a scripture. because this devil really thought that the Lord was with him, man. The scripture says that he thought he was altogether one as thyself. Let me see. Let me get that. Yup. This is Psalms 50 and 21. It says, these things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself. So basically, Esau Edom thought that the Lord was with him, but really, when you really think about it, it the Lord was with him, because it says in Revelation 6 and 4 that power was given unto him to take peace from the earth. So it was through the Lord. The Lord allowed this devil to do all these things, man. All right. But even though the Lord allowed him to do all these things, this man forwarded the affliction, man. He went above and beyond the call of duty. And man, he put complete hell on our people, man, on the Israelites, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, especially the Native Americans, man, because when Christopher Columbus came down to the Americas in 1492 and in those years, all right, hey man, it was mostly the Northern Kingdom here, man. It wasn't until I believe, man, I want to say, because I've read reports as well that Judah started getting taken in the years of 1444. So, but as far as America is concerned, mainly the people that were here were the Northern Kingdom and the 10 tribes of Israel. All right. And when he came, all right, this devil basically thought that the Lord was such an one as himself. He thought that the Lord was with him, man. All right. He thought that basically he was. He thought he was. He thought that basically that the Lord was just like him, man. All right. That he agreed with his actions and what he was doing and his thought process and what they had set up, and they had no remorse for what they were doing to our people, man. All right. But it says, let me start over, Psalms 50 and 21. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such an one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. And that's what's going on right now. Right now, the Lord is reproving him through his servants, the prophets, and setting us in order right before his eyes. All right, the tabernacle of David is getting raised up just as in the days of old. And when the tabernacle of David was here on earth, we had all the heathen in subjection, man, not the other way around. See, one of the curses of us being at the bottom was that we would be the tail, man. All right. One of the curses is that we would be the tail, man. Let me see if I could get that as well. It says right here, Deuteronomy 28 and 43, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. So that would be one of the curses that we would suffer by going off and breaking these laws, statutes, and commandments that the Lord gave us, man. All right, we would be the tail. And that's why us now waking up to the fact that we're Israelites and the Lord, now he's setting us in order. That's why that's a very fearful thing to Esau Edom, because basically, he thought he had us, man. He basically thought he had us. All right. But now he's being reproved, and now we're being set in order. All right. The tables are turning, man. But it says right here, Revelation 11 and 8, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city. And those dead bodies are you Israelites, man. Why were you dead? You didn't know who you were, man. All right. You didn't know. You were completely lost to your heritage. Jeremiah 17 and 4, man, it tells you that we would discontinue from our heritage. which us discontinuing from our heritage, it made us dead, man. All right, it made us dead. And it says, and that great city that's talking about right here, America, Babylon the Great, man. It says, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. So the reason why it's called spiritually Sodom and Egypt, well, sodomy is because, you see all this freak off shit right here in America, and Egypt because of the bondage that we're suffering, man. All right. We're in bondage under right here, under Esau, Edom, in the Americas, man. All right. Right here in Babylon the Great, we're under bondage, man. All right. It didn't stop after, Emancipation Proclamation. All right. It didn't stop after the Jim Crow laws were, stopped. It didn't stop. We're still slaves until this day, man. We're still under the hand of Esau, Edom. That's what you people got to understand. All right. And so let me keep reading. Revelation 11 and 9. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. So they were not, these other nations, all these other different people, all right, they didn't suffer our dead bodies to be put in graves. They didn't tell us who we were, man. They didn't Salakia. They didn't tell us who we were, man. You see? And that's why us coming back to the truth of who we actually are, and the Lord setting us in order right before our eyes, that's something that scares Esau Edom, man. You see? It says, and they of the people, or verse 10, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwell on the earth. It says, and after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Yahweh entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And why did great fear fall upon them? Because, we stood upon our feet. All right, an exceeding great army. You could link that with Ezekiel, the 37th chapter. All right, the Lord put that spirit of life back into us after 3 days and a half. After this, because really, when we came to the Americas, man, we've been in this slavery for a very long time, man. All right, for a very long time. So after those 3 days and a half, or after 350 years, all right, somewhere around the 1960s, all right, the Lord raised up Abba Bivens, man, a man who, from his fruit to labor, all right, now we have the truth today, man, which we believe that he was Elijah the prophet, man. You see, that he would come before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, man. You see, and through him is how we have the truth today now. All right, and the Lord put the spirit on that man, to go hard for the truth, man. All right, and through his labor, now we have the apostles and elders. Now we have the truth, man. All right, you see, and now that we have the truth, now we're standing upon our feet. Now we know who we are, and now that we know who we are, we know who this devil is, man, and we're pointing the finger. We're able to actually walk in our power, man. You see, not be getting caught up with Christopher Columbus Day and fucking Thanksgiving and all these different things, man. We're not supposed to be celebrating Christopher Columbus and praising these people, and that's not who we are, man. All right, Christopher Columbus Day, that's bugged out, man. This man subjugated our people. He was putting our people to death, man. And he was writing letters about us, talking about how naive and stupid we are, man. Talking about how we just were so free with our themes and stuff, man. All right, talking about how we're easy to subjugate. This devil, man, was putting our people to death, and here it is. All right, they have a whole holiday, Christopher Columbus Day just to commemorate this devil, man. It's folly, bro. All right, and our people need to know this history, man. It says, but let me read a little bit more from the book. It says, but too many of the slaves died in captivity, and so Columbus, desperate to pay back dividends to those who had interest or those who had invested, had to make good his promise to fill the ships with gold. In the province of Cacao on Haiti, where he and his men imagined huge gold fields to exist, they ordered all persons 14 years or older to collect a certain quantity of gold every 3 months. When they brought it, they were given copper tokens to hang around their necks. Indians found without a copper token had their hands cut off and bled to death. So, imagine reading that to some kindergartners, man. This is history that Esau is he's very ashamed of this history, man. All right. He'll tell you about how Christopher Columbus loved the salty sea air, and how he loved the oceans, and the Santa Maria and the Nina and the Pinto. All right, the 3 ships he came with, but they don't tell you what he did when he first came, man. What he did when he touched down. It says, the Indians had been given an impossible task. The only gold around was bits of dust garnered from the streams, so they fled, were hunted down with dogs, and were killed. Trying to put together an army of resistance, the Arawaks faced Spaniards who had armor, muskets, swords, horses. When the Spaniards took prisoners, they hanged them or burned them to death. Among the Arawaks, mass suicides began with cassava poison. Infants were killed to save them from the Spaniards. In 2 years, through murder, mutilation, or suicide, half of the 250,000 Indians on Haiti were dead. It says, when it became clear that there was no gold left, the Indians were taken as slave labor on huge estates, later known as encomiendas. So, since he didn't bring back any gold, he had to bring them back. All right. So, they never tell you that, man. All right. They tell you about all the spices he was trying to find. But they don't tell you that his ass was actually making multiple voyages, bringing back Arawak, Taino, all these different Native American tribes, which were actually Israelites, back to Spain, man, and enslaving them. All right. And it tells you that right here in the book of John, John 10 and 10. It says, John 10 and 10, the thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. All right, so this devil, he came but to steal, to kill, and to destroy. All right, that was his whole MO when he came over here, man. And he actually tells you that. All right, it tells you right here in this section of the book, page 6. It says, endless testimonies prove the mild and pacific temperament of the natives, but our work was to exasperate, ravage, kill, mangle, and destroy. So he tells you word for word exactly what John 10 and 10 says, man. He said our work was to exasperate, ravage, kill, mangle, and destroy. That's crazy, bro. Hey, and this is who IUIC is trying to save, man. This is who all these different bugged out Israelite camps are trying to tell you that Esau could be saved. All right, these devils, their whole MO was to ravage, kill, mangle, and destroy, man. Just like how it says right here in John 10 and 10, it says, the thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. And that's what Esau did when he came to America, man. That's what Cristobal Colon did when he came to America. All right, that's what they don't teach your kindergartners in class, man. That's what they don't teach you in any of the grades in class, man. Because even when you get to 5th grade and 8th grade and freshman year, and I remember this, man, because I used to be in AP classes. I used to be in AP history in high school. All right. And even though I would never go to class, I read the entire actual book, the AP history book, because I remember we had to take a test at the end of the year. So I would never go to class, but I read the entire book. And I remember it said nothing about Christopher Columbus and what he did when he came to America, man. It was just a bunch of American propaganda in that book, man. Nothing informational, nothing. You know, if you want to read a good book about the history of America, I would recommend this book right here, man. This book right here exposes so much. It's crazy how much he goes into it in this book, man. All right, this is a really good book. This man, goes into a lot of history about what Christopher Columbus did when he came to America, man. All right. So, Lord willing, this is an edifying lesson. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruchakudash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of the great millstone who taught us his truth. Shalom and Abba.